know if you realize this is not a concert. You have arrived at a developers conference.
Is Nvidia stock a buy before earnings on May 22nd? Today, I'm going to explain the history of Nvidia's AI technology stack and why it dominates the competition. We'll also look at Nvidia stock news, some headlines, some different articles, fundamentals, and I'll look at a chart. I'll tell you where I think the stock is headed next. How Nvidia built a competitive moat around AI chips by becoming a one-stop shop for AI development, from chips to software to other services. Again, guys, this is about the full stack, not just the GPUs. This article talks about a neuroscientist who turned tech entrepreneur. He tried to compete with Nvidia and basically got smoked. Now, that startup was bought later by Intel. And if you look at Intel's last quarter, it actually had a decline when you look at data center revenue, which is pretty mind-boggling if you think about the fact that we're in an AI boom.
Bruh.
A quote here, he says, everybody builds on Nvidia first. If you come out with a new piece of hardware, you're racing to catch up. And this covers a little bit of the history, and I'll go into more detail later. But Nvidia, you need to know, they've been doing AI for more than a decade. And remember, this wasn't a very large market cap just a few years ago. You had to compete with the big dogs like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, IBM, and others. And today, Nvidia accounts for more than 70% of AI chip sales. Now, some stats out there are even higher as 80 and 90% depending on the source. Listen to this quote. Customers will wait 18 months to buy an Nvidia system rather than buy an available off-the-shelf chip from either a startup or a competitor. It's incredible. I agree. That is incredible. But what makes Nvidia's GPUs so much better than the competition? One of the things that makes Nvidia so strong in artificial intelligence that most probably just don't understand is the history. In fact, the AI journey for Nvidia started back in 2006. This is when Nvidia released its Compute Unified Device Architecture, or CUDA platform, a major innovation in GPU-based parallel computing technology. Now, Jensen Huang always knew that his graphics chips had more potential than just powering the latest video games, but the shift into AI and data centers really started in 2016, 10 years later. That's when the idea happened. And in 2017, Nvidia started tweaking GPUs to handle specific AI calculations. Now, this is the time that I bought the stock in 2017 in the 30s. You see, I had confidence that if anybody could do this, it was Jensen Huang and Nvidia. That same year, in 2017, Nvidia, who typically sold chips or circuit boards for other companies, also started to sell complete computers to carry out AI tasks more efficiently. So this whole process has been going on for years, and Nvidia has built an entire ecosystem, a stack, all the nuts and bolts. And the breakthrough really came with ChatGPT and Bard in 2023. The generative AI industry really started to crave Nvidia's chips more than ever. Companies such as Google and Microsoft are racing to bake out AI into their services and other products, and OpenAI's ChatGPT runs on thousands of Nvidia chips alone. Now, if you don't do your research, you don't have this background, it's easy to say, well, anybody can do what Nvidia is doing. Nvidia's already ripped so hard, I'm going to go out and buy AMD or Intel. They can do the exact same thing. But if you want to take on Nvidia on its home turf of AI processing, you better bring more than your A game. You better bring your A++ game. A few vaults of money, a couple bags of good luck, and hell, a genie in a bottle wouldn't hurt either.
This is Blackwell. It's okay, Hopper.
The launch of Nvidia's Blackwell GPUs this year in 2024 at the GPU Technical Conference, or GTC, in San Jose represents the 7th and most impressive generation of data center class GPUs from Nvidia. As discussed earlier, the GPU computing wave started in the mid-2000s. It started to crystallize with the launch of Kepler K10 and K20 accelerators. That was back in May of 2012. And since that time, Nvidia has relentlessly driven Moore's Law's advances in transistors, advanced packaging, matrix math engine designs, floating math precision, memory capacity, bandwidth, energy consumption improvements, and more. These new computing engines are 4,367 times faster in terms of raw floating point performance than the base K10. With Hopper and now Blackwell compute engines, the LLMs, large language models that support generative AI, are pushing the architecture even harder to drive down the cost of doing ever larger AI training and interface workloads. Blackwell is meant to address all of these challenges better than Hopper could. And Hopper was really good. This is the 7th generation of true GPU compute engines and named after David Blackwell, a member of the National Academy of Sciences and a former professor at the University of California, Berkeley. He did his research in game theory, information theory, and statistics. The Blackwell GPU complex has 208 billion transistors and is etched with a tweaked version of the 4 nanometer process from Taiwan Semiconductor. That's called the N4P, which is a refined version of the custom N4 process that was used by Nvidia to etch the Hopper GPUs. The Blackwell device is actually comprised of 2 GPU chips, each with 104 billion transistors that are lashed together using NVLink 5.0 interconnects along the middle of the dies, like a zipper stitching them together. In a nutshell, these chips are better, they're faster, and they're more energy efficient than anyone else can produce on the planet. And companies are willing to wait up to 18 months to use Nvidia chips versus the competition. Let's take a look around the web and get a pulse of what's going on with Nvidia stock. So here's an article. Nvidia stock still looks like a strong buy. It says Nvidia stock in the long run, well, Nvidia is a must-have stock in every investor portfolio as AI is still in very early innings of growth. Now, what's funny about that is on this channel in 2022, we said that Nvidia was the must-own stock for any portfolio. And that's the only stock in my 25 years of investing where I've said something like that. This stuff right here, guy, I'm telling you, as someone who's really into technology, I can just nerd out on this stuff. I mean, we are going to a whole nother stratosphere when you look at the H100 chips and what these things can do. And of course, the stock back then was below $200. You could have got it even below $150. This article is out here when the stock's at $950 a share. So if you want to be on the cutting edge of technology and you want to profit from it in your portfolio, make sure you subscribe to this channel and click that bell for notifications. Here's another article, 4 reasons to buy Nvidia stock before May 22nd. Nvidia's foundry partner says that AI power demand is insatiable. So Taiwan Semiconductor essentially told us they're crushing it, especially in the advanced chips market. And TSM is expanding rapidly to produce advanced chips and help Nvidia meet demand. Number 2, AI server demand remains robust. Super microcomputers revenue tripled to $3.85 billion in the previous quarter from $1.28 billion in the same period last year. Of course, driven by strong demand for the company's AI servers. This is more on the hardware side, like the racks, and raised its full year forecast. So Taiwan Semiconductor, Super Micro, they're telling us that things are good. So of course, if you want to buy Nvidia stock before earnings, well, there's some risk there. And the expectations are sky high. But we do have some hints like we just saw. And the chances are that Nvidia is going to beat on the top and bottom lines. Nvidia's competitors have raised their AI-related revenue expectations. So the benefit of Nvidia reporting later than a lot of these other companies is that we have a pulse of what the expectations should be. Number 4, and this might surprise some people, the valuation makes buying Nvidia stock a no-brainer before earnings. Now, this is simply talking about the forward PE, multiple of 37, and it's lower than the 5-year average multiple of 39. And we'll look more closely at fundamentals later. An article here from Morningstar talking about the bull side and the bear side. So one of the risks, Nvidia is the leading AI chip vendor today, but other powerful chip makers and tech titans are focused on in-house chip development. And although Nvidia's AI training software and tools are the leader right now, you look at cloud vendors, they're likely going to prefer to see greater competition in the space. They may shift to an alternative open source tool, etc. And of course, you're going to have cyclicality with the gaming side of the business, but at this point, Nvidia is primarily going to be GPUs and data center. But wait, there's more. What about this? Nvidia to start selling ARM-based CPUs to PC clients. We're talking about consumer PCs by 2025. This could be another huge growth driver for Nvidia. And if I were AMD and Intel, I'd be a little bit concerned. Here's another article. Nvidia stock can soar 50% more as earnings power still isn't priced in. This is from HSBC. So analyst Frank Lee sees Nvidia's earnings next year rising 45% above Wall Street's current estimate. Nvidia surges after Google's AI conference. Is the stock a buy now? We're seeing price targets raised. This is $1,100 from $800, maintaining a buy rating. Bank of America analysts here also raising price target to $1,100 from $925. Truist raising price target to $1,177 from $911. HSBC price target $1,050 from $880. So you still have buy ratings on the stock from Wall Street. Not that it's a reason to buy. And just to give you a snapshot here, we have 42 ratings, 40 buy, 2 hold, and 0 sell. Now the highest price target, $1,400. The average is $1,021. And that lowest price target, $620. Stock trading right now, $950. On Seeking Alpha, you got a buy. Wall Street, strong buy. You can see the 52-week range, 974 is the high. The low, $298.06. This does pay a very small dividend, 0.02%. Market cap currently $2.33 trillion. Profitability metrics, A+, with gross profit margin TTM at 72.72%. Now the question is how long will Nvidia have that pricing power? That's the question that we need the answer to, and nobody really knows. There's going to be a cycle, and of course there's going to be competition. Revenue growth, you can see A+, 125% year over year. Forward revenue growth still 73.48%. Look at things like EBITDA growth, 384%. You got EPS diluted growth, almost 600%. Stellar numbers here. Valuation is an F, but is Nvidia stock as expensive as it seems on the surface? Now this is showing a forward gap PE ratio of 40.77, but you also have a peg gap TTM of 0.14 and a forward here of 1.09. Now it's interesting. Let's look at AMD and look at those same metrics. This has a forward PE of almost 100. And if you look at AMD's gross profit margin, not even close to Nvidia at 50.56%. But one thing you have to remember here, Nvidia is getting more into software and really a software as a service model. So subscription based, that's going to give you recurring revenue. And that's going to give it a higher premium on that valuation. Of course, the big question here is how long is this cycle going to last? At some point, that cycle will come to an end. Competition is going to come in. The stock's probably going to go higher. We'll look at a chart here in a second and I'll show you where it could go. But you're seeing tremendous pull through right now. And I want to remind you of the pandemic. You remember those work from home plays where they had tremendous earnings power, just blowing it out of the water. It creates very difficult comps. And then you zoom the lens out a year or two later, the stocks struggle and a lot of them haven't recovered even close to their all-time highs. And I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon for Nvidia, but I think it's inevitable at some point you will see something like this happen. Nvidia has a powerful competitive advantage and moat because of this full stack. Now the risk of that moat is high, but the current market right now, Nvidia definitely does have a moat. I think that moat can be disrupted with time, and I do own stocks like AMD because I think AMD will take something like 20% market share with time. When you look at accelerated computing, 1,000x in 10 years. Look at this chart. It goes back to 1980 and to 2030. And you think, well, how much faster can it get? Well, NVIDIA is telling us it can get a lot faster. And this is showing you the waves of adoption for accelerated computing and really AI. So cloud service providers and consumer internet, that's really the stage we're in right now. We're getting into more of enterprise. Next, you're going to see autonomous vehicles, robotics, and then industrial. So we talk about phase 1, phase 2. NVIDIA is going to be really at the ground zero, that first phase, the infrastructure phase, as well as those cloud service providers. And if you go back on the channel, beginning in 2023, we did a top 10 AI stocks to buy for the next decade. And those stocks, including NVIDIA, AMD, Microsoft, Amazon, they've absolutely crushed it over the last year and a half. And remember, these mega cap tech companies, the Microsofts, the Amazons, the Googles, the Metas, they're spending billions of dollars to build out their AI data centers, and NVIDIA is at the heart of those. And this shows you how NVIDIA can benefit from every one of those waves. It talks about the different products and how it can be related to these waves. The ecosystem is really what makes NVIDIA so powerful. 4.7 million developers, 48 million downloads, 300 libraries, 600 AI models. And this is that flywheel. We love flywheels here at Fired Up Wealth for developers, end users, cloud providers, OEMs, and more. Generative AI, the most important computing platform of our generation. The era of generative AI has arrived, unlocking new opportunities for AI across many different applications. Great snapshot on your screen. One of the areas that comes to mind for me is healthcare. And another one that I think another area that Nvidia has a tremendous amount of growth potential is going to be in the automotive sector. Nvidia powering the AI industrial revolution. And this is covering everything from cloud, on-prem, enterprise SaaS, AI platforms, and more. This is a great slide because it shows you just how strong Nvidia is when you think of partner networks. So you've got the GSI and service delivery, so the Accentures and Deloittes, Capgeminis, and so on. AI platforms like Databricks, Hugging Face, Snowflake, and then the large cloud service providers, so the Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, Oracle, platforms like ServiceNow and Adobe, VMware. You've got server OEMs like Cisco and Dell, Lenovo, and more. And these numbers are just sick. It's just a question of how long they can keep this pace and that pricing power, because they're selling those chips at a really high price. And at some point, when competition comes in, that price is going to come down. I mean, look at the free cash flow generation. This is non-GAAP, but $26.9 billion FY 2024. Also, $9.5 billion of repurchases in FY 2024, with $22.5 billion remaining where they can buy shares of the stock back. This is showing you the market platforms. Of course, data center here, 78%. So this used to be a gaming company. Now it's just 17% of revenue. And there's lots of opportunity in these two buckets here. Professional visualization, and then I think automotive could be huge. It's only 2% of revenue currently. Look at this growth in data center from 2020 to 2024. Massive. Gaming, not so much. Data center is where it's at. Now, automotive has been pretty weak overall. You can see it's got some growth here. I just think there's tremendous opportunity, especially if you look at all the partners that NVIDIA is working with. Okay, so now you've got a solid background on NVIDIA and why it dominates in the AI market with its GPUs and its full stack technology. But is the stock a buy at $950 before earnings on May 22nd? Next, we'll look at a chart. I'll tell you where I think the stock could go. If you're new here and content like this is helpful and you want to be a better investor, subscribe to the channel and click that bell for notifications. Please return the favor and drop me a like and drop me a comment and share with a friend. I appreciate your support very much. All right. Here's a chart for NVIDIA now, and you see orange. This is previous chart day. We do these every single Wednesday in Patreon Discord. That's at 9 a.m. Eastern. In fact, we do live streams every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, and you can try us out free. There's a free trial to Elite, 7 days, no strings attached. Visit patreon.com/firedupwealth. Now, I've been telling you on the channel, previous videos, this stock is going to consolidate and it's going to go above $1,000 sometime in 2024. I said in the last video that it might need earnings for that to happen. Now, earnings are just a week away and the stock has ripped into earnings. It could go a little bit higher, but earnings are going to be most critical, of course. Expectations are very high. So NVIDIA is going to have to beat on the top and bottom lines. It's also going to have to provide very strong guidance. Any little slip up at all, the market's going to want to take this stock lower. Now, generally when I buy, I like to buy on 200-day moving averages. That's the purple line, or trend lines. That's the blue line. You're talking about $550. And I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon unless something catastrophic happens on earnings. I need to remind you that this stock is up 225% in the past year. It's up 97% year to date. And over the past 5 years, it's up 2,327%. Hell, just in the last month, it's up 13%. And this is NVIDIA's performance over the last 15 years. If you bought just $100 of NVIDIA stock 15 years ago, it'd be worth over $31,000 today. And that's based on a stock price of $879. Of course, today it's $950. This current R3 is at $1,012. The previous R3 here is at $1,070. If everything goes well in earnings, I think the stock will push above $1,000, probably even $1,100. I think there's a chance you get to $1,200 or even higher in 2024. Now, at that price level, you're looking at maybe a 20 or 25% gain from these levels. So you have to look at the risk reward. So for me personally, it's really hard to chase a stock like this. It'd be breaking discipline. Now, Nvidia is a crazy anomaly. I haven't seen anything quite like this in my 25 years of investing. In my $1.9 million, almost $2 million portfolio, Nvidia is over 12% concentration. The shares that I own at this point are house shares. I've been long since 2017. My cost basis is in the 30s. Also own it in the community portfolio, and I own it in several other portfolios, including my retirement portfolios, which I never normally don't even buy individual stocks, but I have Nvidia in there. That's how high my conviction has been for years. I like the company. I'm bullish. I'm holding a lot of shares. I think the stock is going to go higher, but you have to decide for yourself and your money if you want to take that risk. If earnings are good, the stock's going to rip. Of course, if there is a sell-off, that could be an opportunity for you to add. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. I appreciate your time and attention. If this video is helpful, return the favor. Drop me a like, drop me a comment. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.